Now we are.
Here we go.
Something about that just reminded me of my grandma.
Oh, that's horrible.
No, it's not. We love grandma.
Good. We do like Arlene a lot.
Gosh.
We love her. Wow. Okay, well, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to the Conscious Cowboys.
I haven't seen you in a hot minute. It's nice
I know.
to see you
We've
again.
been away for a week and a half.
Which
these
feels
days
like a lifetime.
It does these days,
Because we're used to spending so much of our time together that when we're not together, it's like,
whoa, it's been a minute. Like usually I know every detail of your day to day. And then when I don't know it, I'm like, huh.
I'm not going to be able to look at you too much because my neck is feeling sore. So
yeah.
Just heads up, if I'm not looking at you, it's like not to be
rude.
You
like turn your whole body.
Yeah.
No, that's good actually, because then we can get a good still for when you look at the camera, for YouTube. All right. Well, so today, just fucked your neck up even more. we're going to do a little catch up, but also just share some thoughts, maybe some things that whoever's listening needs to hear today.
Yeah. Bring it on, Mad.
All right. Well, first for a little update.
I don't know if I have too much of an update. Like my day to day feels the same as it's been for the past
Well, then
month.
let's rephrase it. Like, how is the morale? Like, how are we feeling?
Okay. The morale is pretty high.
Great.
I think we're feeling pretty good.
Okay.
I think the phase I'm in right now is I know that there's still things that need to change, but it feels like I'm in the right headspace to make the changes and I'm working on things. So it's like, okay, at least I'm making steps in the right direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. How about you?
I would agree with everything that you said. I feel also good and that things are going in a good direction. And if anyone has listened to the last few podcasts, first off, it already feels like interesting that we're even doing this today because it's been like a minute since we've recorded.
Yeah, I know.
I'm happy. I was like excited to do this today.
Good. I love that.
But because I feel like it just like acts as like a proper check-in, even though we kind of like debrief downstairs and then we come up here. Yeah, it is a little bit different just because like downstairs it's like way more open and there are longer pauses. Whereas like I feel like if there's a pause here, I'm like, oh shit, they turned it off.
Well, I think also, I was going to say for me, I feel more inclined to respond. Like a lot of times if you and I are having a deep talk, I'll just sit there and kind of like really
and
take
contemplate
it.
That's so true. Yeah. Versus like now you're like, oh shit, I got to say something right now.
You almost said the F word and then you caught yourself. Good job. We're starting to regulate maybe.
Yeah, it depends on the circles that I'm in. But yeah.
Apparently when I gave a speech at my brother's wedding, I let the F-bomb drop like multiple times.
Oh my God. That's funny. Well, first off, I need to get a video of
that
speech. Please. I'll text someone in your family. But I was thinking about that when I talked to you on the phone the other day and you were saying fuck a lot. And I was like, I think I taught her to say it a lot.
I said fuck a lot on the phone?
Yeah, you did. And I was like, it was cracking me up.
Over
because
what?
I don't know. It was just like random shit. Like we were just talking and like F this, F, like F in this. And I was like, yeah, that's me right there.
Probably some learned behavior because for a long time I dated someone who had a younger sibling and we tried our best to regulate, and then once I was out of that and just in our little world, I feel like the floodgate opened.
Yes, it's true. Like when I'm with my sister, it's just every other word is the F word. And I think since I was away from you and I hadn't been with my family, I guess I was that weekend, but I was with like normal people and people do not say bad words.
Normal people?
Well, like we're not that normal, but the average person doesn't say a lot of bad words. So it's like when I hear it, I'm like, yes. Oh, I just love it.
Why is it thrilling?
I don't know. I just think it's so fun, like to say it. And it kind of like, I don't know. Cause it's like when I don't say it, it's like I'm being more proper versus like when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah. Like there's a little like, it's like, fuck. Like it just makes like speaking Madison, like really fun.
In there.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, I obviously started my new job and Tess and I were talking about it downstairs, but in the grand scheme of like how am I doing, I feel like significantly better that I am not teaching Pilates anymore.
Good.
Yeah, so that I feel good.
Well, yeah, I think that's, you don't really know until you're out of it and you've tried something else for a little bit if it's like the right choice or not, because the initial wave of shock or change or learning something new, I feel like a lot of times clouds if you can see if it was the right decision or not.
Right.
You don't know it until you're out of it and you're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
you're
this
like,
works.
okay, that's why it felt good to make the decision that I made, is because it ultimately just feels better.
Yep.
And although I don't necessarily see myself as being passionate about this job at the moment, like that's okay, because I'm not even going to get in my head about it, because there's so many good things about it.
Yeah.
That we're golden.
Yeah. Okay. But like, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there because there's so many things that are working for you that you needed from this change that make it worth it. So like, even if you're not deeply passionate about it, it at least is better than where like mentally, physically, it's better for you. It's serving you more now. So just who cares if you're passionate about it or not right this second.
Right. And I think that it did really help me to have that conversation that we had on a few podcast episodes ago, where we were talking about having passions in other things, like Cowboys, for example.
Yeah.
Like, since I can put energy there and we can build it into whatever we want, I feel okay. Like, I'm okay with the part that makes money is not.
Well, especially if the part that makes money is allowing you to have the space for the freedom of
that's
creativity.
so lucky. So yeah.
And I would hate for you to feel inclined to move on from something because we're taught that like it's really important that you're passionate about what you do for a living. But on the other hand, it's like, well, you're giving yourself the flexibility to have an outside passion.
Right.
That could potentially become something big for you. So I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you made the change, and I'm glad you're enjoying it enough to where you're like not stressed out. Yeah. Like I asked you earlier, like, how is it? Like, you're not stressed at all? And you're like, no, I'm not stressed out. I'm like, oh my God, what is that like?
I know. I know.
Like in the most awesome way. Like, I'm so happy for you. And that shows me like what's possible.
Yeah. Well, because we were talking about that, just to like keep going off that, is that I was telling Tess that like ever since I felt like, which just sounds so dramatic, but like the teaching Pilates, like specifically in the last few months, just has really been dragging me down and has been utilizing a lot of my energy, because it just felt kind of like I was allowing it to be this big dark cloud just because I didn't like it. And now I have so much, like I have much more space to sort of check in with myself, and just like I have more energy for things. And I was telling Tess downstairs is that I have been like noticing things within myself. So I obviously am very prone to listening to my body. Like I think that that's really important. And so that's where I notice a lot of changes recently, is like how I feel in my body at this time. Like I think I was choosing to ignore it when there was all that shit of like, fuck, I am in this job I don't like how is it going to look in a few months? And I would just ignore things that were happening because I didn't want to spend extra energy when I was already using so much up on that dread, you know? So now I'm like, I am noticing things. That's why I'm saying it sounds dramatic, but I'm like, when you're in something that's just like not right for you, it feels so horrible. Like I feel for people, honestly. And that's not even that drastic. Like what a privilege to have that job, you know? But for me, it just was not right. And I was letting it be like this devil. But I was telling Tess that I just noticed like changes as like I really like to be barefoot recently, and like a year ago that was not the case. And also because it's summer and like sometimes with shoes on it's kind of hot. But I really like, I feel like I need my feet to be free now. Like it feels so good to like go for a walk outside with no shoes on. And typically like a year ago or 3 months ago I'd be like, what's touching my foot? You know, like I can't have anything touching my feet. Now I'm like, oh my God, it feels good because I feel like literally connected to the ground. I'm like, I like need to like open my fucking toes and like put my feet on the earth, you know? And I'm like, it sounds like so hippie, but I feel that. It's crazy. It's like, it's just interesting. But I was reflecting back on like how much has changed. And I think that this has been happening for like the last couple of months, but I've obviously been able to notice the change now that I've freed up more of my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then whenever I hear you say stuff like that, it just makes me pause and think, okay, well, I'm not having these experiences, right? Like the only time I'm really aware of my body these days is like I'm noticing symptoms that like don't feel good. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is, I am in tune enough to notice those things. But like, for example, I'll be like working at my desk or something, and then I'll be like, oh my God. And I straighten up my mid back and I hear like cracks and pops, and I'm like, wow. And then I feel like a lot of muscle tightness in certain areas that just don't feel good. And I'm like, how long have I been sitting like this? What, am I doing this every single day? Like, what is going on with me? Like, why am I not more mobile? Why am I not sitting upright? Like, what's going on?
Right.
But I don't really notice these things until I'm like in pain or like something's not working. And then I'm like, okay, whoa, hold on, readjust. So I don't know. I wish that I was like, when I hear you say this, not that I'm getting hard on myself for comparing, because it might come across this way, but I think like what it means for me is I see how you're connecting to your body in a more positive way and you're trending that direction. And then how I'm like, well, you're like, I'm kind of not doing that. I'm trending on the opposite side of the spectrum where I feel a little bit heavier and like my posture kind of hurts and like things are not working. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good for me. Like having you say these things, because it shows me like I could be having a different experience.
Yeah. I like that you're taking it that way too. As per last week's episode. That's good.
Oh, not comparing yourself?
Yeah. No, but I think that there is such thing as healthy comparison too.
Yeah. Well, I think if you use it as inspiration, then great. Like that's what you were saying last week. You were like,
right.
It would make me sad if someone was comparing themselves to me and not using it as a source of inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about this earlier too, is what you kind of touched on, but it's like, when we're listening to our bodies or like when we're experiencing symptoms, it's like I feel so strongly that that's like your body is knocking at the fucking door and they're like, are you going to listen that something's not right? And like it takes like they go through things of like, oh, this isn't going to make you listen. Like stomach issues. All right. That's not going to make you listen, how about this symptom? I know this one's going to get you. And it fucking does. And they're like, okay, now she's listening. And then you check in and then we notice 50 other things that haven't been working that we've been ignoring. And I'm like, all right, now the real work starts. Like, this is fucking gnarly.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So real life example here is like, all right, stomach issues were happening, headaches were happening, other things were happening. And I was tolerating them. Because it becomes your new normal, right? You're like, okay, this is fine. Not ideal, but like I generally get through my day. It doesn't really affect my life or my livelihood. I'm fine. And then when your eyebrows start falling out and you're like, whoa, hard pause here.
It's like very confronting.
Hold on, because I definitely can't live with that. Like not only are they super itchy, but like they're actually falling out in numbers and I want to prevent them from falling out further. So you go to the doctor finally and you're like, well, while I'm here, like my doctor was asked me, okay, what are we addressing?
Yeah.
And I give her a whole list of things. And at least I feel grateful that I have a doctor that can support me and work and I have the resources to make stuff like this happen. But it was like when I was giving her the list, I'm thinking, oh shit, these are kind of big ticket items and there's quite a few of them. And I'm excited to get started. And I feel grateful that, again, I have the opportunity to work on these things. But in the meantime, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
How long has it taken me to get to this point? Because obviously it doesn't just happen overnight. You build over time, probably years of just neglecting the little signals and thinking that this level of functioning is normal and okay. And this level of stress is normal and okay. And then your body's like,
yeah, actually it's not.
No.
Yeah. On second thought, no.
I let you have your run for a second and now
things need to change
on my watch. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. I'm in control here. Yeah. It's so gnarly. Yeah. And I actually this doesn't really have to do with anything, but I saw this thing the other day on Instagram. It kind of does, because it's something that you said of like you feeling heavy in your body. Yeah. And I was listening to this girl or woman explain like on her reel about how people come to her because I think she's like she's not necessarily like a nutritionist, but it's just like feminine health and like feminine energy, like raising that bar.
Okay.
So people come to her and they say like, oh, like I want to lose weight. I feel like so heavy in my body. And she's like, well, let's first address like why you feel heavy. Like maybe it's not even like weight purposes. Yeah. Like your like energy is heavy. And I was like, dude, that shit is fucking real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's I think a lot of it for me is like I notice that I'll feel sluggish or I'll feel really tired or like I just don't have mental clarity because I have way too much else that I feel like I'm prioritizing and juggling. And then when I feel like that, I'm like, ugh, then my posture changes. Yes. And then my stomach hurts because I'm not sitting upright. And then actually digestion is not as great as it, like there's all these things. It's a trickle effect. Yeah. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. I just thought that was like very cool. Like, you know how sometimes you just like hear people say stuff and you're like that, I think that, but she said it like out loud. I'm like, okay, I understand now. But so all of these thoughts, I was also telling Tess is like what I've been noticing too is that, and I think this has been happening over many years, but just like, I don't know, recently I've just been like very observant of myself. And I was telling her that like doing stuff like this, like crossing my arms or like rounding my shoulders a little bit or anything, like even when I'm sitting on a couch, like I don't like, it doesn't feel good anymore. Like I love,
so crazy to hear.
Isn't it? But it like feels good to like keep my chest open and like I put like my arms up, like even in my car. I'll like put my right arm like around the headrest.
Picturing it.
And like I have to have it open and then like my other hand's on the wheel. Like it feels like very good. But I'm like, it's so interesting to notice these little changes and like
do
obviously
you feel
what
more
a gift.
Comfortable in your body?
I think maybe, I mean, that's also
more in your own power because you are able to make decisions for yourself. Like I wonder where it comes from. Because when we met, I remember like you driving in the car and your shoulders, and I like pulled I'm like, you need to, like, what is that? Like your shoulders were super concave and I'm like open. And I'm not going to sit here and diagnose what the hell that was, but I just noticed over the past, 6 years that we've been friends, just about like that whole upper body posture has completely changed. But then I would say the next step I didn't notice it until the boys called it out. But like you'd sit like a cat. Yeah. Like up on a bar stool. Like so if we'd all be hanging out as a group, like in the beginning, Madison would be like sitting up, like kind of perched on a bar stool like a cat with her knees tucked in and her arms wrapped around, like the most closed body positioning you can picture. And then it was like, okay, then once Madison got comfortable, she like climbed down off her perch and would sit on the floor. And then she'd be in the splits with her arms up and over. And you're like, oh, okay, well, she's comfy now, which was awesome to see. But to like, even when you guys would sit on the couch, like you and your dad kind of like, not that you guys hold each other's hands, but you guys will interlace your own hands. Dude, imagine
if we held each other's hands. It would be fucking weird, wouldn't it?
So I just got back from Madison's house.
And they were holding hands.
Dad and her held hands the whole night.
Dude, that would be fucked up. Oh my God.
But no, I'm just saying like you guys will sit there and like your body posture is always kind of closed. So then to hear that you're opening up in the same timeline as like the new job, and I don't know what I can't help but link it.
Right. No, I think that there definitely is. I mean, for the last like, because even I remember when, you know, like you hear people say comments and like stick with you. Like when we saw Brogan and she came from Hawaii, like, I don't know, to visit like a year or two ago. And she was like, did you get taller? And you're like, no, I think she just like has better posture. Yeah. And so like, then I started to notice, I'm like, oh, do I? And I'm like, I definitely do. But I think also like the rounded shoulders, like you were using that example, like of in the car when we first became friends. Yeah. Like my whole life, I feel like I wanted to hide in a sense. And that was like coming out of my eating disorder. And so I felt like, I don't know. It's kind of like that common thing of like, you don't want to take up a lot of space or you don't want people to like look at you because I'm being different or whatever. Okay. And I sometimes still feel that like when I want to stretch and there's like a household of people here, like people are like, that's fucking weird. Like she wants to show off. And I'm like, no, I genuinely like, I'm not trying to show off. I promise. I just like have to do this because my body does not feel good to like sit on a fucking chair and be normal for a second. You know? Yeah. So I feel like I just am sometimes like too worried about what people think of me if I'm doing something that's not normal. You know? But then I end up doing something that's not normal anyway. So it's like, why not just fucking do what I want? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's also just like me becoming more of like the woman I want to be too. Yeah. So it's like, it's just all of the above.
No, I'm happy to hear that you're physically opening up.
Yeah. Cause now I'm just like, why? Like, why not do that?
Well, and and then I start thinking like, okay, well with this opening, right? Like you carrying yourself more receptive to the rest of the world. what will this bring on opportunity wise for you? Like
Right.
if you walk around the world kind of closed up, well, what is the reverse going to be?
Yeah, it's true.
Not that you walked around you know what I'm saying.
No,
though,
I
but
do.
like,
I know. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't feel.
You're like, I'm not attacked.
No. Yeah, I don't feel sad. No. No, I'm like, that's a correct observation. But yeah, it just is really interesting. And I think like even when I was talking to Tess, like a lot of the movements in Pilates that we would do are like a lot of like tucking of like your hips and things, which I understand to a certain extent. Yes, it's correct in certain movements. But like I was telling her that just like doesn't feel natural to me anymore. Like it's like my body's like rejecting like any sort of like rigid movement. So I'm like, I can't, like, I just don't want to do that. Yeah. Like I was telling her, I'd literally rather do interpretive dance at this point than
which, if you know Madison, you know that is outside of her comfort zone.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's definitely some sort of opening happening, and I really welcome that because I'm like, yeah, I'm curious about that shit. Like, what does that look like for me?
Yeah. Something I've noticed about myself in this same token is that I don't go take classes. I haven't taken classes anywhere in probably probably more. Like I feel like the last time I actually was an avid class taker in a formal environment was New York, which was the beginning of 2020. Yes. Since then, I've trained my own body at home.
Yeah, sorry. I just said yas. Dude, I'm mad.
She's her now. But I feel like the same level of resistance, it's less about like the tucking, rounding nature. Like it's less that. It's more like I don't want to be told how to move my body or when to move my body. I want to do it based on how it feels. And I can't, I don't know. Like I have no problem teaching it, but like to be told what to do, if it's not in line with what feels good in the moment, like I don't think I'd want to be there. That's why I don't go.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
But there are times in my life where I've needed that, right? Like where I loved the structure and I loved being told what to do and how to feel it. But I've evolved so much on my own journey that no longer feels good for me at this time. Like it could again in the future, but right now I need to do my own.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think that's why I gravitate towards hiking too. I mean, for so many reasons, just like being out in the sun and being out in nature, but just like I'm so free to move out there. Like you can go at whatever pace you want. I can like move my arms and my legs, like your heart's pumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like to do, like for me, something needs to happen. Like I need to do more structured movement. Like I love Pilates, but like at home on my own time.
Yes, I understand. That's like
I like to feel like my arm muscles and my core muscles that I don't really feel when I'm out hiking.
Yeah, I understand that.
So like I still need both, but it needs to be mine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like kind of if I stretch or something. Like it's like you like feel it in your body, you know? Yeah.
Speaking of, the bed is getting rough for me to sit on.
Oh yeah,
just
okay,
FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was telling Tess that I just have like a lot of random thoughts because obviously we haven't been together for like a week and a half. So I just kind of like,
let's hear it.
Threw them up.
No, I know. I'm excited.
I mean, well, so I was going to kind of wrap it up.
Okay.
So I had a question for you.
Okay.
I'd like put you on the spot, but it's putting me on the spot too because I haven't really thought about it too much.
Okay.
What is something right now that you're having to unlearn? We're recording with our camera just to really upscale the visual piece, and it just stopped recording, so I'm gonna have to look up the manual or something online to figure out why the fuck that just happened.
It's okay. What was the question? What is something I'm having to unlearn?
Yeah. And I think obviously this is like a constant thing that we do is like we share the lessons that we learn like throughout our journey. Like on this podcast, that's what we do is like we share the lessons we learned just because I feel like that's beneficial. Yeah. So I'm like, what are we unlearning right now? Like this period, I feel like has been so pivotal that it's like a bookmark in time.
Okay. I don't know how I can concisely word this, but I'll give it my best swing. I can be productive and make good money and show my value and my work ethic without overdoing it and putting my health at risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking A. That was concise.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Thanks.
Anything else? There doesn't have to be anything else. I was just giving you the space to.
Well, I guess something I'm learning. I guess these are things I'm learning, not unlearning.
That's okay. It's one and the same.
That someone like male wise can love me for like all of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like even though a lot of times it's not exactly what I'd like or how I'd like to show up, like they still will love you and support you, and like you can fully be yourself. Like you don't have to be a version that you think they want you to be.
Yeah.
Which
I'll actually cry.
I don't know. I just found like a really safe space with my boyfriend, and I'm like, this feels like different.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Don't cry.
I'm not. No, I won't. No, I could literally. When I was this like 2 weekends ago, and my whole family were together, and we were swimming, and like my dad and my sister were swimming together, and like they were
Did
like
it make you
playing
cry?
around.
Stop. I'll cry.
I literally like, if I think about it, if I was cast in a movie and they're like, you need to do this crying scene,
cry right now.
I will cry. No, I'm not going to, but I fucking could cry at the drop of a hat. Tess is already crying.
No, I'm trying to egg her on.
Like,
if my eyes
would think about it. I could think about my sister and my dad like swimming like when we were younger, and I would just fucking start crying. Like I cried in the car today thinking about it. Thanks. My body's like.
For those wondering what that noise came from, I wet my tear on her.
Yeah.
There's a video of my dad dancing at my brother's wedding, and
oh
seeing
my
him,
god,
have you seen it yet?
No.
Seeing him like loosen up and be free on the dance floor.
You gotta show me after.
Oh my god.
I know. Oh my god.
Yes.
We're also doing a fucking episode with our dads.
Yeah.
We have to.
That has been requested, and it was an idea that Madison had a while back, and then someone had written it and requested it. And
we were like, all right, now we got
that is confirming
yes.
that this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I turn the question on to you?
Okay. So something that
Also, we're playing with our hair. We need to stop.
Yeah, no, sorry. There was just like something like hard in it, which I think I need to like look at what that is. Like, is it a leaf or something? I don't know. But I was just like rolling in the dirt outside, just connecting barefoot earlier.
Speaking of, no.
Do you want to do that later?
No.
Did something happen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, do you want to say?
No.
Oh, okay. So something that I'm unlearning, or maybe a lesson that I am learning now, is that I can still, it's kind of similar to yours, I would say, is like I can still be who I want to be and like make my life look the way it wants to be without putting too much pressure on myself. Mm-hmm. Like I can just like ease into it rather be so fucking rigid, you know? And also like a lot of things that I worry about and put pressure on myself for, no one else is like saying, like no one is putting pressure on me. It's always just me. So like I seriously like this weekend would like change my mind about certain things and like not care about something, and I'm like, oh, that's way easier than I thought it was. Like there's like this fucking pressure that I put on myself as like an 18-year-old to like uphold whatever the fuck, you know? And I'm like, that's so interesting that like a switch can just flip in your mind of like, well, that just doesn't matter anymore. And it's because I say it doesn't matter.
Madison.
You know?
Good job.
Thanks. Like it's a journey, obviously, but
yeah, but it's like your own shackles that you're taking off. Like you put them on and you're taking them off.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Anything you'd like to elaborate on there or no? Like anything you changed your mind on this weekend?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think
like
if I can, I don't want to speak for you, but like something I've noticed is like you used to be you put a lot of value on career, right? Like it needed to be some sexy job. It needed to be like cool and off the beaten path a little bit and just different. And I respect that. Like, yeah, having a different job, having something creative or cool, whatever, that's awesome.
Yes.
But I think if you put so much pressure on yourself that has to be your all, you kind of can that pressure overshadows the joys that could be found elsewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I was thinking not that I didn't want to share the realizations I have. I just like couldn't remember what they were. But when you said that, I was hiking yesterday morning and I was just like walking down the trail and I was just thinking, I was like, why? Like, it's so funny. Like, I literally laughed out loud. I was like, why am I in such a rush for like my life to look a certain way? Like, who is putting this pressure on myself that I should be like in the career of my dreams at this time, or that like Cowboy should be thriving, or that I should be married with kids? Like, no one's putting that pressure on me but me. So like if I just release that right now, then it actually doesn't matter, and then I'm free to do whatever I want. Like, it was like that quick of a decision in my brain where I was like, oh, that actually doesn't matter. Like, I could just do what I want. How cool is that?
Yeah, but I think this is something that you're going to have to reteach yourself.
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Maybe every single day.
Yeah.
If not like multiple times
No,
per
it's
week.
like, it's like if it lasts for like a week and you're like on this high of like, cool. And then something happens and you like see someone got engaged on Instagram. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in the dark hole again, you know? But no. But yes, obviously that's definitely it. And there's so many more ideas than what I just listed. But just to like know that you have the power to do that, I think is like mind-blowing to me. And like it's just like based off a decision that I made. So yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
the power of the mind, huh?
I know it is. It's fucking crazy,
scary, but awesome.
Yeah, but that's all.
That's awesome. That's a great final question.
Thanks.
One last thing for the person who wrote in asking for dating advice from the Cowboys. Hey.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get back to you on that.
Yeah. I just feel like
we don't have any.
We're probably not qualified to speak.
No, we're not. But like, thanks for inquiring about that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. That's a good reply. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, we will get back to you on that.
I could share some funny stories that will definitely put me in my own grave. I
feel like we could do like a whole episode on it. Like, we need to do some research, which means I have to do research because Tess has a fucking boyfriend. So, like, I have to go out and do the field work here. But that's fine. I can do that.
I also think based on experience, like, I think we come from different backgrounds, so we could share. It'll be fun. I know.
Prompt. That's why I think, like, a whole episode it could be.
Field work, dude.
It is field work, straight up.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. It is.
Yeah. So.
Get out there, man.
Here we go.
Play the field, right?
Yeah.
No pressure. I'm
just when
kidding.
you think like you've played the field so many times and now you're like, fuck, I have to do it again. You know, like, where's my husband? I'm mad. I just want to have one already. And then it's just fine.
Yeah, but then no.
No, of course not. Like, you have to enjoy the process, as they say. Yeah. It's fucking bullshit.
You wake up tomorrow and you're married and he's in your bed and you're like,
who's that? Awesome.
Arranged marriage. Yeah. That's what you wanted.
Fuck that. Yeah, exactly. The universe is like, ha. No. All right. Well,
love you.
Thanks for listening. Love you. Yeah. Thanks for being here when I got home.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Okay.
No, where else do I go? Just kidding.
No. All right. Talk soon.
Bye, guys.